The arrival of Mama Put. The sun was dipping behind the palm trees, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold. Evening in Umueke village was always the same. Children played football with makeshift balls. Women returned from the stream with heavy pots of water balanced on their heads, and men sat under the big Iroko tree, drinking palm wine and discussing politics. But on this particular evening, something different happened. At the roadside, just before the junction that led to the market square, an unfamiliar woman appeared. Nobody saw where she came from. One moment the spot was empty, the next, a wooden table, a small charcoal stove, and a woman in a faded wrapper stood there. Her wrapper was tied firmly around her waist. Her blouse looked older than time itself, and her gel was tied in the simplest knot. She was frying akara. The aroma floated through the evening air like an invisible hand, pulling noses and hearts in her direction. It was not the ordinary smell of akara, the one villagers knew too well from the morning market. No, this one was richer, sweeter, carrying something no tongue could describe. Children were the first to notice. Mama, Akara they smell for Road Junction, shouted Chibuzo, abandoning his football game. He ran towards the scent. Others followed. Soon, adults began sniffing, turning their heads. Who they fry Akara for evening like this? Mama Neka asked, balancing her water pot. By the time the villagers gathered around, the woman had already fried a neat mountain of golden brown Akara balls. She smiled, her face wrinkled yet oddly beautiful, and said in a voice as calm as a night breeze, "Take, eat, it is free." The crowd froze. Free food in Umueke? It was unheard of, but the aroma was too powerful. One by one, they reached out. She gave freely. Every bite melted on the tongue, fluffy inside, crispy outside, with a taste so heavenly that even the richest man in the village would lick his fingers shamelessly. Soon, the akara began to vanish, and with every bite, the people felt something. Warmth spread through their bodies, a strange calmness, almost like joy, almost like surrender. Everyone ate, everyone except one, the doubter. At the edge of the crowd stood old Pa Okorie, the palm wine tapper. His body was lean from years of climbing palm trees, his eyes sharp like the blade of a cutlass. He sniffed the air, shook his head, and spat on the ground. Food we no get price na trap, he muttered. Mpa, come and eat this akara sweet, well, well, young Ifeoma called. He waved his hand. No be every smile be smile. I go chop wetin I sabi. Free akara no day for this world. The villagers laughed at him. Pa Okorie, your own too much. Even spirit go fear you. One man joked, but he stood his ground. He did not take a single piece. Instead, he kept watching the strange woman. She never asked for money, never counted the akara, never seemed to run out of beans. For every piece she scooped from the oil, another batter appeared in a calabash, as though the beans never finished. Night fell, yet the akara and the fire kept burning. They changed. By the next morning, something strange had happened in Umueke. The villagers who had eaten the akara woke up with renewed energy. Farmers who usually tired after a few hours worked tirelessly under the sun. Children who always cried for food now laughed without hunger. Even old women felt younger, their backs straightening, their voices stronger. It was as though the akara had given them new life. The village chief, Eze Nadozie, summoned the elders. This woman, who is she? Where did she come from? Has anyone asked? But when people tried to question Mama Put, she only smiled. Eat first. Questions later. And they obeyed, because no one could resist, no one except Pa Okorie, He grew more worried each day. He noticed that though the villagers felt stronger, their eyes had changed. A certain dullness replaced their natural spark. At night, he heard them murmuring in their sleep, whispering strange words he could not understand. One evening, he sat under the iroko tree and said aloud, "This no be ordinary Akara. This won't get as AB." But no one listened. The festival of Akara days turned into weeks, and the woman never left. Every evening, she fried. Every evening, the whole village gathered. Soon, the villagers stopped cooking their own evening meals. Why waste time when Mama Put was always there? Even the market women who sold beans and oil complained. Nobody was buying anymore. Then something shocking happened. The chief declared a festival in her honor. "This woman has brought blessing to Umueke. Let us celebrate her. From today, this junction shall be called Mama Put Junction." The villagers cheered. On the day of the festival, masquerades danced, drummers beat their drums, and people wore their finest clothes. Mama Put sat quietly by her table, frying akara, smiling as though she had been waiting for this moment all her life. Everyone ate, everyone except Pa Okorie. And as the moon climbed high into the sky, the drumming stopped. A sudden silence fell over the village square. People froze mid-dance, akara still in their mouths. Their eyes turned blank, their bodies stiff, their voices gone. Only Pa Okorie remained standing, trembling, his heart pounding. The woman rose slowly, her wrapper untouched by oil stains, her veil glowing under the moonlight, her smile stretched wider, far wider than any human smile should. "You have all eaten well," she said in a voice that no longer sounded like a woman's. It was deep, echoing, ancient. "Now you belong to me." 5. The horror, the ground shook. The Eriko tree groaned as though a giant hand bent its trunk. Dogs howled from the distance. The villagers, still frozen, began to march towards her table, their movements stiff, their faces blank. Pa Okori screamed, "Chineke! What is this?" The woman's form began to change. Her eyes glowed red, her arms stretched long like palm branches, her skin cracked, revealing scales underneath. She was no ordinary Mama Put. She was something else. And now she had the whole village. The moon rose fat and bright above Umueke village, casting silver light over the huts, the trees, and the wide square where the festival drums boomed. It was the first time in living memory that the chief had declared a festival in the name of a stranger. But then again, Mama Put was no ordinary stranger. For weeks, she had been feeding the village with akara fried by hands that never tired, from beans that never finished, over a fire that never died. No one had ever seen her fetch water or wash beans. No one had ever seen her buy palm oil or pepper. Yet every evening, her stall stood ready, a neat mountain of golden brown akara balls piled high like treasure, each one calling to the villagers like the cry of a newborn. That evening, people dressed in their finest. Women tied new wrappers, some borrowed from neighbors, others bought on credit just for the occasion. Young men oiled their hair and sprinkled powder on their faces, determined to look handsome before the masquerades. Children bounced with excitement, their stomachs already humming with anticipation of the akara they would eat until their bellies begged for mercy. And in the middle of it all sat Mama Put, her face shining in the firelight, her hands moving with supernatural rhythm. Scoop, fry, flip, serve. Scoop, fry, flip, serve. The oil popped and hissed, but never splashed on her skin. Her wrapper remained spotless. Her head tie, a dull gray by day, now gleamed almost white under the moonlight. "Let the drums sound!" cried Eze Nadozi. the chief, sitting proudly on his carved stool. His coral beads rattled as he lifted his staff. Tonight, we celebrate the woman who has brought blessing to Umueke. The drummers struck harder. Flutes shrilled. Masquerades leapt into the square, their raffia skirts swishing, their painted masks glowing in the firelight. Dancers joined in, stamping their feet until the dust rose like smoke. The air grew thick with heat, dust, sweat, and that irresistible smell of Akara. One by one, the villagers left the dancing and drifted towards Mama Put's table. She never called them. She never beckoned. Yet, as if pulled by strings, they came. She smiled and handed out Akara bowls, and they ate greedily, laughing with oil running down their fingers. Children giggled with mouths full. Women hummed in delight, some dancing even as they chewed. Men shouted praise. This Akara sweet pass honey. God bless you, Mama Put. May your oil never dry. May you live forever. Each blessing made her smile stretch wider. She nodded politely, her eyes glinting strangely in the firelight. But not everyone was caught in the celebration. At the edge of the square, beneath the great Iroko tree, sat Pa Okorie, his back stiff, his raffia walking stick planted firmly in the dust. His calabash of palm wine remained untouched. He watched the crowd with narrowed eyes, his lips pressed tight. He muttered half to himself, half to the ancestors he always called upon. Food we no get price, ne food of spirits. These children know they hear word. If something sweet too much, you guys ask wetin dey inside am. Earlier that day, he had tried again to warn the chief. He had gone to the palace, removed his straw hat, and bowed low. Easy. This woman no be ordinary. Have you seen where her beans they come from? Have you seen her grind pepper or buy oil? But the chief had laughed and waved him off. Okorie, you and your suspicion will not kill you. Can't you see? Since she came, sickness has left our children. Hunger has disappeared. Even you, old man, can climb palm trees again if you eat this Akara. I don't need Akara to live, Okori had muttered. I need truth. Now, as he sat under the Iroko, he saw what no one else seemed to notice. He saw the way Mama Put's hands moved too fast, faster than any woman's hands should move. He saw how her calabash of beans never grew smaller, no matter how much batter she scooped. He saw how her fire never dimmed, though she had never once fed it with wood or charcoal. And he saw how her smile lingered a little too long, stretching across her face in a way that made his old heart shiver. Still, the people ate and ate and ate. The drumming reached its peak. Masquerades spun until they seemed like whirlwinds, their raffia skirts a blur. Women danced in circles, ululating, while the chief himself stood to clap along. The entire village seemed caught in a frenzy, laughter and joy pouring like palm wine from every throat. And then, suddenly, the drums stopped. The silence hit like a spear. Feet froze mid-step. Hands halted mid-clap. A masquerade's rattle hung in the air and did not fall. Even the night insects seemed to pause. The villagers looked around in confusion, but no words left their lips. One by one, their faces went blank. Their laughter faded. Their eyes clouded over like glass touched by mist. Pa Okore gripped his stick tighter. Chineke, is this what I feared? The crowd turned as one, every man, woman, and child, and faced Mama Put. They moved in eerie unison, slow, stiff, as though pulled by invisible strings. Their arms hung limp, their legs dragged like they were caught in water, but their eyes never wavered from her. Okori's mouth went dry. His old heart hammered. Mama Put rose from her stool. For the first time since her arrival, she stopped frying. Her hands hung by her sides, but a smile remained. Slowly she lifted her head. The moonlight touched her face, and something in her features shifted, just enough to make the old man's blood run cold. Her smile grew wider, too wide. Her eyes glowed faintly red, reflecting the fire. "You have eaten well," she said. Her voice was not loud, yet it filled the square, echoing against every hut, every tree, every heart. "And now, you are mine." A low hum began to rise from the villagers. At first it was faint, like bees trapped in a gourd. Then it grew louder, turning into a chant. Their voices blended into one, speaking words none of them had ever learned. "Onye riri akara, onye ninke ya o. Onye riri akara, onye ninke ya o." Whoever eats the akara belongs to her. Whoever eats the akara belongs to her. Okori's knees nearly buckled. His stick shook in his hands. He looked around in desperation. Every single person was chanting, even the chief, even the masquerades, even the children, their small mouths moving in perfect rhythm. Only he was silent. Only he had not eaten. Mama Put's eyes turned towards him, and though her lips did not move, the words entered his mind as clearly as if she had whispered into his ear. "You did not eat. You do not belong. But you will." Okori's breath caught in his throat. His stick slipped slightly in his trembling grip. The chant grew louder, thundering like a storm. "Onye, riri, akara, onye, nke ya." Oh, the ground seemed to pulse with the rhythm. The air grew heavy, thick, suffocating. The fire in Mama Put's stove flared without wood, shooting tall flames into the sky. Her wrapper fluttered, though there was no wind, and before Pa Okori's horrified eyes, the woman's skin began to change. At first, it shimmered, like the scales of a fish catching sunlight. Then it cracked, peeling away like old bark. Beneath the cracks glistened scales, black, gleaming, sharp-edged. Her arms lengthened unnaturally, her fingers curling into claws. Her gill slipped from her head, and where hair should have been, only ridges of scales remained. The chanting villagers did not move. They stared at her, their mouths open, their voices unbroken. "Onye riri akara, onye nkeya o." Pa Okori stumbled backward. His eyes bulged, his chest heaving. "Chineke, this is not woman, this is abomination." Mama Put, or whatever she had become, spread her arms wide, her smile stretched beyond human, her teeth long and sharp. Her voice thundered, no longer sweet but deep and echoing like many voices at once. "You are mine.